Okay, so it's Cat Stanley Space Demon coming at you again, and for today's video, I want to shift gears a little bit. I want to talk about local news because I recently came across this video online. One of our local news stations here in Detroit put out a short video, but before I get to the topic, I want to, full disclosure, it's been years since I've regularly watched local news. I really don't watch local news anymore. I get most of my news information from either videos online or articles online, even when it comes to local news. I know when I was growing up, you got your news from the newspaper in the morning, and then you watched the 5 o'clock local news, 6 o'clock local news, you had the national news at 7, and then maybe you watched the 11 o'clock news, local news, but that was when I was a kid growing up in the 80s, and we had some great local news broadcasters here, some great anchormen. We had the guy called Bill Bonds, who was a local legend, another guy called Mort Krim, who was supposedly the character of Will Ferrell's Ron Burgundy, supposedly loosely based on Mort Krim or based on Mort Krim. But we had some serious journalists, whenever the local news would report the news, they would do it in a serious manner. You had your anchormen, and then you had your man on the street or your woman on the street who'd report from the street. They'd do their, what do they call them, the remote out on the street report, and it was always delivered in a professional manner. Now, occasionally they would do like the local, pie eating contest at the county fair, or, the squirrel riding the jet ski. And if it was a light-hearted story, they'd report it in a light-hearted manner. But whenever they delivered a serious news story, it was always done in a serious manner, befitting that of a serious journalist. These folks were your source for local news. So these people were professional, dedicated to delivering the news in a serious, presumably unbiased, professional manner. I kind of pick and choose my news sources, where I go to get my local news. But I know a lot of older folks still rely on the local news broadcasts for their news. Now, that being said, I want to get into this story. Now, one of my favorite websites is baseballreference.com. I'm a huge baseball fan. I'm on there just about every day, checking out the stats, checking out the scores. And I've been seeing this video in my feed every day when I go on there from the local news. It's a video pertaining to a story which is actually already a couple weeks old now, but for some reason the video keeps popping up every time I visit the Detroit Tigers page on Baseball Reference. And I just finally decided to watch it a couple days ago, and I was shocked to see it's a story pertaining to the resignation of the Detroit Tigers assistant general manager, who resigned over some lewd photos. And I was just kind of shocked to see their handling of this story, which is kind of a serious story. You would expect a local news broadcast to handle something like this. I'll let you watch the video and then I'll discuss it. Let's take a look.
The assistant general manager has resigned. Fox News' Jessica Dupnack has more now from Comerica Park.
We're told 3 women all came forward with the same creepy story to tell about one of the Detroit Tigers higher-ups. They opened up their Snapchat to find a picture of a bat and balls they wanted nothing to do with.
Now, did you hear that? Did you hear what she said? She referred to it as a bat and balls in a non-joking manner. Now we know what she's talking about. She's not talking about baseballs. She's talking about you know what kind of balls. Now, this is a local news presenting a serious story. This guy got fired because he sent lewd photos to some woman. This is not hard copy. This is not a current affair. This isn't one of those tabloid shows. This isn't a comedy. This isn't Howard Stern and Gilbert Gottfried goofing on Robin Quivers news. This is a serious local news broadcast. Let's keep going. We're not done here.
Sam Menzin, from intern to assistant general manager of the Detroit Tigers at just 34 years old. He resigns out of seemingly nowhere last week.
that was obviously somewhat odd timing, given that that was a week into the season, the day before the Detroit Tigers home opener.
Menzin told reporters it was to handle some family issues back in New York. But MLB beat writer for the magazine The Athletic, Cody Stavenhagen, started digging.
And within the course of about 3 days, my colleague Brittany Garoli and I were in touch with 3 women who alleged that they had received unsolicited lewd photos from Menzin.
The staffers allegedly received the photos of Menzin's penis on Snapchat.
Now, did you hear that? She said the P word, referring to a man's lovemaking organ. She actually said the P word. For some reason, I don't know, but this kind of shocked me. For some reason, maybe I know it's been a long time since I watched the local news. I had no idea. This is how local news broadcasts are now. Now, I don't know if this was the 5 or 6 o'clock. I'm assuming it must have been 11 o'clock news. Maybe they feel like they can be a bit more explicit and graphic during the 11 o'clock news. But I was kind of shocked to hear this female reporter say the P word in reference when it really wasn't necessary. She could have just said he sent explicit photos to these women. He sent lewd photos of himself. She didn't have to be that graphic. Now, maybe I'm out of touch. Maybe I'm just an old fart. But it used to be that these stations, they didn't present themselves in this kind of tabloid fashion. A story like this, which is obviously a serious story, would be dealt with in a bit more serious of a manner, but she's saying this with a serious tone. She made the bat and balls joke in a serious tone. Like, she figured this is the way I could slip this one in. If I keep a poker face, people might not notice it, or maybe they will notice it. Maybe it'll add to the humor of it. But I was kind of taken aback just based on my memories of local news. Now, it has been a long time since I have watched local news, but I never remember watching my local news and hearing them deliver serious stories in this fashion, in this kind of tabloidic presentation, this kind of sarcastic, humorous manner. And I have no idea how these local news, man on the street, woman on the street reporter situations are handled. I don't know if she wrote her own copy or if she's reading copy someone else wrote for her, or maybe they had ChatGPT write this. I'm assuming they write their own copy. Maybe she wrote this. I really don't know. But as far as who came up with this bat and balls joke, really seems inappropriate in light of the seriousness of this story. But what do you guys think? Am I just an old fart? Now, maybe it has something to do with the fact that we have the internet now, and these local news stations have to try to compete with the internet because where basically anything goes, they can say whatever they want. So maybe it's these local news stations trying to compete with the online news sources who can say whatever they want, so they try to be a little bit more risque. I really don't know, but for some reason, I was really taken aback by this, that this is our current state of local news. I mean, is this the norm? Is this, presumably these people went to journalism school. Is this what they're teaching people in journalism school? How to deliver the news, to make funny jokes like this? The guy's batting balls. It was really kind of shocking to me. Maybe I'm just naive. I really don't know. Let me know what you guys think about this. It was kind of a shock when I heard it. Maybe I am just so out of touch, and if that's the case, let me know. And you might think, well, this guy's being awful hypocritical because I have been known to use some salty language on this channel, but this channel, I don't purport to be any kind of serious journalist. I'm just a goofball on YouTube doing goofy videos about Kiss, and I don't purport to be a serious journalist, but I always kind of held these local news entities up to a certain standard that maybe they no longer hold themselves up to that standard anymore. Maybe it's all about just being risque, being shocking, and trying to grab the attention of people who are used to being online all day and seeing and reading all this explicit stuff. But it really kind of took me aback I'm not going to watch the rest of this video. I think we've seen enough here. I think I've gotten my point across as far as that goes. But I mainly wanted to touch on this local news thing. Let me know what you guys think. Maybe I'm just an old fart, and maybe I'm just out of touch. That's the video. We'll see you next time.
Here.